It's a cry from the soul of nature, a tale written in blood, courage, and the heartbeat of the wild. Across the endless, untamed grasslands of Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, the first golden rays of morning stretched out like threads of heaven, weaving light through the drifting mist. The land was waking up in a symphony, birds sang their hymns, the wind carried whispers through the acacia trees, and hidden eyes in the tall grass blinked open as the day was born. Moving slowly along a dirt track where the dew still clung to blades of grass, a young ranger named Tabo drove his weathered off-road vehicle, his heart steady but alive with purpose. Ever since he was a child, when he would sit beneath the starry African sky and dream of lions roaring in the distance, he had carried within him a sacred vow that his life would be devoted to protecting the wild. Now, every sunrise reminded him that he was living that promise. His vehicle rattled as he checked his supplies, water, medical kit, spare bandages, and the ever-trusted pliers that had saved countless animals from snares. As he drove, his sharp eyes scanned the horizon for footprints, broken branches, or the silent cry of an animal in need. He had trained himself to feel the pulse of the earth beneath his boots, to listen to the conversations of birds that often revealed secrets of danger, and to understand the language of silence that the wild spoke so often. That morning seemed calm, yet something stirred in his spirit, an unease pressing against his chest. And then he saw it, a single drop of blood staining the pale, dry grass. It was small, almost easy to miss, but to Tabo it was louder than a scream. He stopped, stepped out, and knelt close to the earth. Moory droplets appeared, leading him deeper into the brush. His heart tightened. Somewhere, a life was hanging on the edge of survival. And in that moment, a verse whispered across his mind. The righteous care for the needs of their animals, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. He followed the trail, each step heavier with dread, until the scene unveiled itself like a tragedy written in silence. A majestic lion, its golden mane dulled by dust and pain, lay entangled in cruel barbed wire, its fur soaked with dried blood. The sight was enough to bring tears to a hardened ranger's eyes, yet Tabo did not hesitate. Humans are waiting, prepare yourself for the wild to change your heart. The lion's breaths were ragged, his body trembling, his once proud eyes dimmed with suffering. Cruel barbed wire had wrapped around his powerful shoulders, digging into his flesh, cutting deeper with every desperate movement he had made. His golden coat was streaked with crimson, and the earth around him was scarred with the marks of his struggle. Tabo froze for a moment, his chest pounding with sorrow and fear. This was not just a beast of the wild. This was a king brought low by man's carelessness. Slowly he approached, speaking in a low, calm voice as though to a wounded brother. "Easy, my friend." "Easy," he whispered, setting his medical bag down carefully. The lion stirred, lifting its head weakly, and their eyes met. In that gaze, Tabo saw not just pain, but a plea, a desperate cry for life, for freedom, for the right to live as God had intended. Kneeling, sweat dripping from his brow, Tabo pulled out the pliers. His hands trembled as he began the delicate work of cutting through the sharp wire. Each snap of metal echoed like a drumbeat of hope. The lion growled, not in anger, but in the groan of agony and trust mingled together. Minutes stretched into eternity as man and beast fought side by side, one to survive, the other to save. Finally, the last strand fell. Without wasting a breath, Tabo poured antiseptic onto the open wounds, his hands steady though his heart was breaking at every pained flinch from the animal. He wrapped makeshift bandages over the bleeding gashes, whispering softly the whole time, "You are brave, so brave." When he finally stepped back, the lion, though trembling, pushed against the ground and rose unsteadily. He swayed, but his spirit had not been broken. Their eyes met again, and Tabo felt the words rise within him. "Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 pennies? Yet not one of them is forgotten by God." With staggering steps, the lion turned and vanished into the grasslands, his body limping but his spirit aflame with gratitude. Tabo stood frozen, the shredded wire at his feet, the morning sun now blazing above, and in his heart he knew this was no ordinary encounter. This was destiny. He named the lion Asani, meaning brave. And as dawn turned to day, Tabo realized his life's mission had deepened, not just to protect the wild, but to stand as a bridge between man and beast, a witness to miracles that the world often overlooked. This isn't just a story, it's a cry from the soul of nature. Weeks passed. Life in the Serengeti rolled forward with its rhythm of survival and beauty, yet for Tabo, nothing felt the same. Every patrol carried the ghost of that lion's eyes, and every sunset painted the memory brighter in his soul. Then one afternoon, under the blazing African sky, he saw movement across the golden plains. At first, it was just a shadow among the tall grass, but then the figure emerged, massive, majestic, unmistakable. It was Asani. His wounds had healed, though faint scars still marked his back like medals of survival. He did not charge nor hide. Instead, he stood at a distance, watching Tabo. Their eyes locked, and the ranger felt tears blur his vision. It was recognition, gratitude, a silent bond that needed no words. From that day, Tabo was never truly alone. Wherever his patrols carried him, Asani followed, not close enough to frighten tourists or fellow rangers, but near enough to remind him that his act of compassion had birthed an eternal friendship. Visitors began to whisper of the great lion who shadowed the ranger. Some feared it, others marveled, but Tabo always reassured them. He is no threat, he is my friend. And time proved him right. The lion never attacked, never roared in aggression. Instead, he became a guardian, a silent protector of the man who had freed him. Sometimes, when Tabo stopped to study animal tracks, he would turn to find Asani sitting patiently, as though waiting for him to continue. Other times, as the sun dipped low, he would see the lion perched on a rocky outcrop, watching him until he returned home. Their connection became a legend whispered through the park, a living testament to the truth that love and kindness could cross even the boundaries of species. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, and a little child will lead them. And in that truth, Tabo's heart swelled with both humility and strength. But nature is never still, it tests even the strongest bonds. A year later, the land was struck by a merciless drought. Rivers dried, grass withered, and animals grew desperate. Among the most affected were the elephants, giants of the wild who, driven by hunger and thirst, turned restless, even destructive. One blazing afternoon, chaos erupted in the western region of the park. A herd of enraged elephants stormed through, uprooting trees, trampling camps, their cries like thunder rolling across the earth. The park ordered immediate evacuation of tourists. Tabo, true to his duty, raced to guide frightened visitors to safety. But in the confusion, he found himself cut off, stranded on a low rise of broken stumps and reeds, the earth trembling beneath the charge of furious elephants closing in. Their trumpeting roars drowned every sound. His heart raced. There was nowhere to run. Death was closing fast. And then the roar came, not from an elephant, but from the heart of the wild itself. A sound so thunderous, so commanding that the air itself trembled. Tabo's chest tightened with recognition. It was Asani. The lion burst from the tall grass like a flame of gold, his roar splitting the chaos. He charged forward not in recklessness, but in power, drawing the attention of the elephants, buying precious moments for Tabo to escape. It was a miracle in motion, beast saving man, just as man had once saved beast. In that instant, Tabo understood. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And as the dust rose and the world seemed to hold its breath, man and lion stood once more as brothers, proving to all who witnessed that the bond of compassion is stronger than fear, stronger than cruelty, and strong enough to change the world. And so the story did not end in tragedy, but in triumph. Tabo survived, the tourists were saved, and Asani, though scarred once more, remained a legend of the Serengeti. The tale spread far beyond Tanzania, touching millions who watched through viral YouTube stories, heartwarming animal videos, and dramatic wildlife rescue documentaries. It became a symbol that humanity's greatest calling is not to conquer the wild, but to walk beside it, that when we choose compassion, miracles happen. And in every roar of Asani across the plains, Tabo heard the echo of hope for animals, for humanity, for a future where love bridges every divide. The Serengeti was trembling, the ground quaking beneath the colossal steps of a herd of enraged elephants. Dust spiraled into the fiery African sky as their trumpets filled the plains with chaos, drowning out every other sound. In the midst of this storm, one man stood vulnerable, Tabo, the ranger whose heart had always belonged to the wilderness. Surrounded, trapped on a low rise, there was no way out. But then, with a roar that split the heavens, Asani, the lion once saved from barbed wire, threw himself between the elephants and the man he called brother. His golden mane rippled like fire in the wind, his fangs bared in fierce defiance. The elephants froze, startled at the order.